everyone, Karen the Warp Spinster here. Thank you for joining me today on my channel. If this is your first time, welcome. You are joining us sort of in the middle of this project. And I will put a link in the discussion to the whole playlist for the Alice Quilt, which started out being Alice Wondering, and now it's just kind of the Alice Quilt. So, last time we finished this middle section, and this time we'll work on the leftmost section there. But before that, I want to just finally do these swaths, these curves of black that I've been talking about doing for, I don't know, weeks now, and I haven't done it yet. So I'm going to start off with that, and then we'll go to the iPad will join us, and I'll talk about what we'll do for that section over there. This will probably be the last Alice Quilt video until I finish it. I think you've probably seen enough of how I go about doing this process, so that I'll just let you know when it's finished and show that to you when it is. But we'll do some more work yet today. First up, black curves. And now we have joined the iPad. This is the most recent design that I had showed you, which is an update from a previous, well, several previous designs. Just keeps changing as we move along. But I wanted to make some changes. First of all, while I love curves and I love S curves, this pink just didn't fit in with the rest of it. It is an extension of this, as if it had come back behind this block and come around. But there are no other S curves. So I decided that I wanted to change that. And this over here just looks a little awkward, and construction-wise, it's definitely a little awkward. So this is what I changed it to. And I like this better. First of all, I started playing with these pinks here. Let me zoom in a little bit. And this, when I started playing with it, it ended up looking like part of an A. And I thought, well, that's really appropriate for Alice. So I just added in a little bit of pink stroke over here with the crossbar meeting it. So it's kind of a subtle A, which you probably won't see if you didn't connect it with Alice, I suppose. Then I changed this up a little bit just so it was easier to piece. It's still going to be interesting up around here, but we'll see. And this probably won't look exactly like this, but I wanted something to kind of frame that a little bit on that side. And I also added in these white strips inserted there because I needed something to balance out this side. So I've got the stripe sort of effect up here and over on this side and down at the bottom here, but I didn't really over here with the black, so I needed that to kind of pull the whole thing together. So that is the plan for moving forward here. And that is going to involve probably doing this piece. So it will be bounded by these pinks here. And then I'll have to, well, I'll start out with a white piece, which is going to have that corner and this corner curved. Already have this inserted in it. So I guess I will need this piece, insert that pink, add this pink over on this side, then add these pink curves in, then another pink strip over here. Then I will add the strips on here and here to this particular block. But before I add it to that block, I'm going to have to do these curves. Let me think about which of these I want to do first. Do I want to make this long and this one shorter, or do I want to make this one longer and that one? I don't know. It's probably 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Then I'll have to cut in the black curves there. And then I will have to do this piece, cut in the curve. Nope, because I've got to get this piece in. We'll ponder that. There may be a little bit of it. No, I think it'll be all right because I will make this a separate piece. So there'll be a seam here, which will make this a lot easier to do, I think. Let me think about this. So if I do that, I can, now I think I want to make this a continuous curve. If I make it, if I piece it there, put the seam there, then these might not match up, which might be okay, but I think I want a nice continuous curve there. If it's not, you know, it's not a big deal. None of this has to be exactly like it's here. I just wanted it to have these sorts of characteristics. So first thing I'm going to do is create this piece here, where I take a white piece, split it with this pink strip, cross piece, then add a narrow strip over here. And of course, on this piece, I'm going to have to add a little bit of pink down there for the serif of the A. And then I'll put in these two parts of the serifs, then a pink strip, and this piece again will have to have a curve cut into it. So we certainly have things to do, but I'm going to start out with this section. All right, I have finished doing this piece, the center part, and this small serif-y kind of thing there, the curves. So I just cut a largest piece of fabric, split it in half, inset curves here, put this in the center. It's at a slight angle just for a little more interest. And it's about the right height, but I am going to need to cut a wide swath here. And this is too wide, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and put this pink strip on here. And then I'm probably going to make this a little bit more narrow, a couple inches maybe. And then I will have to cut those curves and then put on the second pink strip there. So proceeding I go. All right, I have carved out the curves on the left-hand side of the A. It's kind of a fun little design right there. You could do a improv flower. Anyway, so now I have a wider strip of pink over here. This may end up being a little bit narrower. Of course, I've got a 1/4 inch for the seam yet, but it may be narrower still. And then I just have to sew this on, and we're ready to move on to the next piece. There's one more thing to do over here. There's another serif that I'll have to put on at the bottom of the middle section. And I've also added that small serif. By the time you take the 1/4 inch off, that's going to be quite a small serif, but that's all right. Just a hint is perfectly fine. And I have to say that if I weren't comfortable with curves before I went into this project, I certainly would be now. Let's see what this looks like together with the piece we just finished. So here we are to this point, and I did add on the pink curve there, the serif, so it looks a little more like an A. Once the top is cut a bit, I think it will do a little better as an A. And the bottom here is going to have a curve on it. So that will cut down on that serif a little bit. So that looks like that's the cross at the top. Although I could, now this doesn't have to be a real clear A. A subtle A is fine, and there probably will be some foo-for-ah nonsense in there. And I kind of like that it has that curvy look to it. So lots of stuff to do up over here yet, but progress so far. I did straighten this out a little bit. I think you can see at some point I did add in some curves. This isn't very curved. Ideally, I would have liked it to be more curved, but it is what it is. It was an improv curve, and that's how it came out. So I'm quite happy with how this is working out. There needs to be more black over here, but there will be. that is built into our design. So we are moving along, I'd say. Alice, girl, looking better all the time. We have some things left to do, and I have gone ahead and mapped out how I am going to piece the rest of it. So this piece remains essentially the same, although I am going to be doing a curve there, a red curve there. And then I'll have a large white piece up here that has the curve on it as well. Now this isn't going to turn out exactly the way it's shown here because it's improv piecing and this came out differently, but it's okay. It's essentially the same. And then I will add some onto this, but in essentials that remains the same. So to do all of this down here, I am going to first do, let me bring this up more for you. I am first going to do a piece of white that has this black curve put in it. And then I'll do this strip, which is going to be black, that has a white curve inserted into it. And this one will have a white piece with a black curve inserted in it. Now this curve, I may in fact, this curve might be a part of this. I might do that actually, wait until I do this part, because I can always add this on if I decide I want the curve to not include this. So this will be the last piece that we do down here, is at the bottom. So then that will bring that piece all together, and it can be then attached to the A. And then up here, I will have this long white strip that will have this black curve piece. Well, first of all, I'll have to piece a black strip, and then this black curve will be pieced into it, and then this white piece will be added on. So I think I misspoke when I did that. So there'll be a long white piece like this that will have this cut into it, and then a white piece will be added on to that black piece. I could also do a long black piece and set in the white, and I think actually that's what I'm going to do, because that will give me more control over where these pieces fit into it, and then I can cut the white curve into that, which makes this a nice single curve, and then cut a white piece up here too. So I think my next step, I got several choices for how I can do this, but I think I will do this bit here. And it may end up that I'm going to do a little bit of a pink curve up here. It just depends on how this is all going to work with how this is actually pieced, not how it's drawn. So my first order of business is going to be adding on some red here with that curve, and then cutting a piece of white and cutting in that red curve. This is going to appear out of sequence, and indeed it is, but that's how my brain operates, so I have to say it while I have in mind. This looks too removed from the rest of it. I mean, this ties it in, but that looks just planted, which in a way is okay because, you know, it's A for Alice, but I've decided I want to tie it in a little more. So I have added in this red piece with the curves at the end. So it adds in some more red, pulls it down here because there isn't a lot of red down here compared to up there. So I think that's easily fixable. This piece is already together, but I can deal with that. So first, well, we'll get there, but let me figure this out while I'm talking to you. I'm sorry, I'm scattered here, but so I can put a red piece through the middle of this pink strip that I have. And then once I get this bit assembled, then I can add on the red curves. And so, nope, I'll ponder this, but it's my special relationships thing. Spatial, not special. If I do this first, this isn't a problem, but I have to think about the order here, because this isn't at the edge of that piece. Yes, I'm going to have to split this strip and essentially make this part of the pink strip a part of this piece rather than the A. Okay, got that settled. Now I'll go back to doing this stuff. So I have this bit done here now. And since I have mapped out my process, and you know the drill by this point, adding in curves and straight pieces and whatnot, I think I am going to just continue by taking pictures as I finish up each step. I don't know that you need to listen to me ad nauseum about how I'm doing basically the same thing. So I will go snap a picture of this, and then I'll keep going forward with my plan and take photos for you. I didn't exactly lie, but I changed my mind about something. So here's what I plan to do. I am working on this piece. So I am going to do this, and then, well, this piece first. So I'll put this piece on first. Then I'm going to put these two pieces together, but this is going to be a solid black. Then I can attach that. I'll cut a white piece that's going to go this full length. I said that was going to be a black piece, didn't I? All right, so I'm going to cut a black piece that's going to go that length that I need. Then I'm going to sew all of this together, and then I'm going to cut that so that I have a continuous curve. So this is solid black here. Once this is all together, then I can cut this white curve out of here and have that be one curve instead of this going hither and yon here. Ordinarily, I might not care about that, but for some reason, I really want this to be one continuous curve. So just that one change. All right, I'm moving into the final stretch here, except for the bottom piece. And this black piece into which I'm going to be cutting the white curve, I've already cut out a curve that's just a wildly inaccurate general idea of where the curve is going to be, because I have to insert those white strips. So I wanted to know just about the angle I was going to do up there, and I didn't want to insert strips in the whole width of a block of black fabric. So I've just cut a small, well, that's not a small curve, but I've done just a bit of the curve out of it so that I can manage that stuff. And then I'll be adding the white curve in there and on there. And that will be it for the body of Alice. I will admit that it's looking a little odd now, but it's just where I want it to be. So when I cut the white, I will sew this piece to this piece, and then the white will cut through all of that and up. Before I can piece these all together though, I need to cut in the white curve at the top there. So that is next on the agenda. And I think that's a wrap for now. I still, of course, have to do the wavy business down here, but that will be another day. It's 3 o'clock and I really need some lunch. It's been a long time since breakfast. So I have the long strips to put together. So I have 2 long seams there. I'll trim the top, but that's for way later. And then I can start figuring out what curve I want down at the bottom. But for now, and for the purposes of my YouTube videos, that's it. And next week, I have something else in mind. We'll see how it goes. And as I finish this up, then I'll do an update for you. But you've been through all the processes, all of the processes I use. So it's all good. And I thank you for joining me and for keeping me honest about Alice. She's happy to be coming together and she's looking good. So thank you. Now I'm kind of seeing the Eiffel Tower as I walk. Oh dear. All right. So let me know what you would do differently. This is how it's going to be for me. But of course, you might do things differently. And I'd love to hear what your ideas would be for Alice. Hope to see you next week. In the meantime, thank you for joining me again. Be well, be safe, be happy, be quilting. Peace out.